Hello everybody, we are Group A and my name is Mary Galastian.
My name is Benjamin Balaz.
My name is Eliza Kurmanova.
And my name is Whitney Reyes. We will be talking about cloud computing today. We will be covering what it is, history and evolution, different types of cloud computing, attributes and trends, individual and organizational applications, issues and concerns that come with cloud computing, major vendors, and opportunities and risks for organizations. So what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is the delivery of different services through the internet. The most known service is data storage, but it can range from servers, databases, networking, and software. The advantage of cloud computing is not having to be near physical hardware, which makes it easier. For example, files and programs can be stored in the cloud, and as long as you have access to that service, or in some cases given permission to be in that service, you don't have to be near physical hardware, which makes it easier and more convenient. In this slide, you can see the history and evolution of cloud computing. It all starts off in the 1960s with John McCarthy, who introduced mainframe timesharing. Mainframe timesharing allows a central computer to be shared by a large number of users sitting at terminals. Each program, in turn, is given use of the central processor for a fixed period of time, and when that time is up, the program is interrupted and the next program resumes execution. In 1997, cloud computing gets defined by Professor Ramnath Chelappa at an Informs meeting. An Informs meeting is a conference that provides the ultimate learning and networking events for analytic professionals and students. In 1999, Salesforce was founded, and in 2006, Amazon launches EC2, which is Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. The cloud networking industry totals over 78 billion euros and is at a steady upward trend. Since 2012, the worldwide public cloud service is the fastest growing market service and is up 18.5%. There are 4 different types of cloud computing: public cloud computing, private cloud computing, hybrid cloud computing, and community cloud computing. Public cloud computing is a public cloud. You share the same hardware, storage, and network devices with other organizations or cloud tenants, and you can access services and manage your account using a web browser. Private cloud computing is a private cloud that is dedicated to one organization or business and often have much more specific security controls than a public cloud. Hybrid cloud computing is a mix of both public cloud computing and private cloud computing. It is made up of on-premises infrastructure with private cloud services and a public cloud services, such as Amazon Web Services. Lastly, community cloud computing is a multi-tenant platform used by several organizations to share the same applications. Users are typically in the same industry or field.
When looking at the attributes and trends of cloud computing, 3 main things should be considered: self-service, elasticity and scalability, and broad network access. When referring to self-service, what we mean is talking about the ability to store and use data yourself without the need of a third party or a permanent employee to access that data for you. That data is able to be accessed by you at any time and any place. Ideally, that is the attribute of having a good cloud computing. Not every cloud computing service is self-service. There's many types of cloud computing, as we've discussed earlier. When talking about elasticity and scalability, what we mean is the ability to extend or contract the amount of data stored and what's needed for either like a personal cloud computing need or a business cloud computing need. So having the ability to do both is ideal, as that will allow people to have different options available to them for their data storage. Broad network access has to do with the ability to access the cloud, or in this case, your data, at any time and any not at any time, but so long as you have good internet connectivity. And it also has to do with the types of people you can keep in or out of your data. So having employees locked to specific types of data, or having the ability to share data with specific people is a good attribute. And the trends all are currently in this direction, although the future is allowing us to store more and more and different types of data than ever before. Like now we can store gigabytes and terabytes of data easily, even at the personal level, while before that was only for the realm of companies and corporations. So the trends are looking to be expanded upon the already settled attributes. Moving on to the individual and organizational applications. We have personal cloud storage, customer relationship management, and streamlining of business. Is most of the use that people get out of cloud computing. For personal cloud storage, we see things like the way Apple has introduced cloud storage is a very user-friendly for the personal, not necessarily for business, though it can be, but it's primarily used for storing music, video, at the personal level, which allows, like never before, instead of needing floppy disks or CDs stacked up to the ceiling, you can store the same amount of data securely, which is really important, on the cloud, and have all that data being able to be downloaded directly to your phone or removed off your phone and sent to the cloud. A more organizational application of cloud computing is the customer relationship management. For example, the type of service that Salesforce provides for Amazon Web Service, where they, have software that allows Amazon, Spotify, and other large major corporations to better access their customers and better maintain that relationship through the use of the cloud and through the use of like the software that they provide. And then also along with that, it allows people to streamline their business, meaning that they can find more efficiency while using cloud computing.
Cloud computing is the primary strength of some businesses today. However, it can cause really serious issues and concerns, which I will be discussing today. One of them being security. Although the major vendors do a very reasonable job to create the safest space possible, but there are still risks in implementation of the cloud. Since the cloud is being handled by a third-party provider, and this provider is supposed to manage the security, but not all providers deliver the promised security. While the credentials are often being compromised, we can come across data breaches, broken authentication, hacked interfaces, basically violation of confidentiality and data privacy. Why this can be an issue also is because of the segmented usage and adaptation. Most organizations adopt clouds, but not many of them have the required strategy in place. There are no clear-cut guidelines for employees, and the inadequacy of resources and expertise, the speed of cloud adoption today, the intermittent or irregular cloud migration due to segmented usage can cause issues such as isolated cloud projects that lack shared standards or ad hoc security configurations. Another major issue in cloud computing is the cost. Handling cloud spending has been a major significant cloud computing challenge. Why? Because many organizations are ruining nearly 30% of the money they invest in the cloud. Many organizations can't make right predictions about quantities and costs. Many of them make several mistakes that can increase their expenses. For example, an IT professional can turn on a cloud instance implied to be utilized for some time, but they forget to turn it off again. An important concern in cloud computing today is compliance. Cloud compliance is about complying with the laws and regulations that apply to using the cloud. Whenever an organization transfers data from its storage to the cloud, it's supposed to experience compliance with the industry's laws and regulations. Why this can be challenging? Because there are many different kinds of laws, like data protection laws, data localization laws, and data sovereignty laws, and etc. Some other issues in cloud computing include cyber attacks, migration, cloud intermittent irregular migration, and even government intrusion. With the recent NSA leaks and government reports, we can expect government to try to have a peek at our data as well. Despite all these concerns and issues in cloud computing, there are still many good major vendors, one of them being AWS, Amazon Web Services. AWS is the safest and protected platform of cloud service, and it offers a comprehensive set of infrastructure services like database storage, computing, power, networking, and etc. Another major vendor today is Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure is used for deploying, designing, and managing applications through a worldwide network, and it is actually supporting various operating systems, different databases, tools, programming languages, and frameworks. Another good and major vendor today in cloud computing is Google Cloud Platform. Google actually is using resources such as computers, virtual machines, hard disks, and it's located at Google data centers. Google Cloud Platform is an integrated storage used by developers, and it's used for live data. Some other major vendors today include Oracle Cloud, IBM, Alibaba Cloud, and etc.
Cloud computing provides a scalable online environment that makes it possible to handle increased volume of work without impacting system performance. Cloud computing also offers significant computing capability and economy of scale that might not otherwise be achievable, especially for small and medium-sized organizations without the IT infrastructure investment. I will be talking about the opportunities and risks that cloud computing offers to organizations. The first opportunity is a lower capital cost. Organizations can provide unique services using large-scale computing resources from cloud service providers and then add or remove IT capacity to meet the service demands while paying only for actual capacity used. Lower IT operating costs. Organization can rent added server space for a few hours at a time rather than maintain proprietary service without worrying about upgrading their resources whenever a new application version is available. It also provides the flexibility to host the virtual IT infrastructure in locations offering the lowest cost, ease of installations and maintenance. Cloud computing requires no hardware or software installation or maintenance. And lastly, optimize IT infrastructure. The infrastructure provides quick access to computing services. And now I will be talking about the cloud computing risks to organizations. I'll start with the first one is environmental security. The concentration of computing resources and users in a cloud environment also represents a concentration of security threats. Because of their size and significance, cloud environments are often targeted by virtual machines and bot malware and many other attacks. Organizations would want to discuss with cloud providers about access controls, vulnerability assessment practices, and patch and configuration management controls to check that they're adequately protecting organizations' data. The second risk is data privacy and security. Hosting confidential data with cloud service providers involves the transfer of a considerable amount of one organization's control over data security to the provider. Organizations would want to discuss with vendor and so that vendors understand the organization's data privacy and security needs. Also, cloud providers wants to be aware of particular data security and privacy rules and regulations that apply to company, such as the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, the Federal Information Security Management Act. Now I will be talking about the third risk, data availability and business continuity. A major risk to business continuity in the cloud computing environment is loss of internet connectivity. Cloud provider wants to make sure that they have a backup and they can ensure internet connectivity. If a vulnerability is identified, organization have to terminate all access to the cloud provider until it is rectified. Finally, the seizure of a data hosting server by law enforcement agencies may result in the interruption of unrelated service stored on the same machine. The fourth risk is record retention requirements. If business is subject to record retention requirements, organization wants to make sure that provider understands and meets the requirement of the company. And finally, the last risk is disaster recovery. Hosting computer resources and data with a cloud provider makes the cloud provider's disaster recovery capabilities vitally important to organizations' disaster recovery plans. Organizations would want to know cloud providers' disaster recovery capabilities and ask provider if they have been tested. Today, our group talked about cloud computing. We've defined what cloud computing is. We went over the history and evolution. We've talked about attributes and trends, issues and concerns for vendors, and risks and opportunities for organizations. Thank you for your time.